Well, hello there. My name is Mark Miles, and I love helping trainers, facilitators, workshop facilitators really take their results to the next level. In today's video, we're actually going to talk about something fun. I know, how unusual, how different. I don't normally talk about fun things. I talk about things that'll expand your mind and your skill set. So today we're going to talk about something fun. Now, what I mean by that is studies have shown that people actually learn more when they're actually having fun, right? And so in today's video, I want to talk about one simple game that you can add into pretty much any workshop at all that you are ever running. And it's a game that really creates massive levels of engagement. It's a game that pretty much you can do or you can prepare for in about 5 minutes, if not less. And it's a game that really everyone gets involved, everyone loves it, and it's not weird, it's not too wacky, and people are generally going to be fine to get involved in it. And there's a little bit of suspense, there's a little bit of engagement, there's a lot of fun to it, so to speak, right? Now, all it takes is a little bit of imagination, and it's called the potluck game. The potluck game. Now, the reason this game works really well is there's a little bit of chance to it, and there's a little bit of, if not a lot of, actually students remembering or audience members remembering what they've actually learned, right? So here's an example. What you can do, or here's how to play the game, how to set it up, right? So what you do is on a piece of paper, you write down 5 things or even 10 things, right? And these are activities or things that you want your audience members to do, right? And what you then do is you say to each person, each audience member, I want you to think of a number and write it down between the number 1 to 10, right? So maybe you've written down these 10 things, and you get your audience members to write down, pick a number between 1 and 10 or 1 and 5. And what they're actually doing, lo and behold, they don't even know it, is they're actually nominating one of the things from your potluck sheet. Now, some of the things that you can actually do on this potluck sheet. So, what you do is you say, all right, audience member, Bill over here, what number did you write down? And they say, I wrote down number 3. All of them. And then what you do is you read out what number 3 is, right? So I recently ran this event with a workshop that I actually ran, and I actually did this activity online. Okay, so this can be done online or even face to face as well. And now on the potluck sheet, I had the following. I had number 1 was ask a question to the group about the content that we've covered so far. So, for example, it could be, okay, what is one of the things in the XYZ model? All right. And they asked that to the entire group, and someone had to answer their question, right? It's a great one because the person actually needs to know the content to be able to craft the question, right? So number 1 was ask a question to the group based on the content that we've covered so far. Now, the second thing that item number 2 was tell everybody to stand up. Now, you may think it's a little bit unusual one, but as we talked about in the workshop that I ran, one of the biggest, most powerful tools that you'll ever have as a workshop facilitator, coach, mentor, presenter is actually creating movement in the room. And so number 2 was getting people to stand up, right? The person that wrote down number 2 was they had to get everybody to stand up. Pretty cool, pretty fun, pretty different. And then number 3, what happened number 3? Well, number 3 was tell people in the audience to take a particular posture. And we, in that particular workshop, we were looking at satire categories and body language. So that person had to take the posture that will nominate one of the postures for the body language, and everybody else had to take it as well. Number 4 was make an example with one of the presenting phrases. So if they wrote down number 4, then they had to come up with a phrase from one of the presenting phrases that we'd actually looked at. And if you've been following along with me, I've done a lot of videos on presenting phrases that you can actually use when running workshops. So if someone wrote down number 4, they had to come up with on the spot a presenting phrase. And that was really cool. That made them think, and everyone had a laugh as they came up with a presenting phrase. Right? Next one, number 5, was demonstrate the use of a linguistic presupposition. Now, in our workshop, we talked about NLP presuppositions that you could use. And if they had written down number 5, they had to, on the spot, very quickly, come up with a linguistic presupposition and share that example with the group. All right. Now, it was a fantastic activity. Everyone had a lot of fun with it. And, they didn't know what number they were right, what thing that correlated to the number they'd written down. And it was a fantastic activity. And also, you can then also take it into the world of, all right, if you want people to present on a particular topic, maybe you got a list of 10 topics. They write down a number and then you read out the topic that they have nominated they didn't even know about, right? If you're doing a public speaking workshop, right? If you were doing maybe an activity or a regroup on activities, maybe you, over the time of teaching leadership, you have covered, this type of leadership, this type of leadership, this type of leadership. And what you could do is people write down the number, and in the potluck, maybe they have then, without knowing it, created, okay, number 3, it's role play time. Number 3 is dealing with a difficult employee. All right, everyone, jump into your activities, dealing with a difficult, it could be anything at all. But the potluck framework is so fun, so enjoyable, because nobody knows what's going to come. Only you do, because you've written down the possibilities, right? I love this game, and in order to play the game, people need to know the content, right? Now, you don't want to write down things that are too crazy, too wacky, and you want to make sure that they are things that people are quite comfortable with and that you've covered as part of your workshop there, right? So it's called the potluck game. Basically, it takes 5 minutes to prep. Basically, you come down with a list of things, and then people write down a number. They don't know what the number correlates to, but you just say, fantastic, you've written down number 2. Number 2, folks, relates to X. All right, your challenge, number 2, is that, right? Now, this was also a variation of the dice game. So you may come across another variation where you get people to roll a dice, and that maybe indicates number 3, like they roll a 3, and then you look at your list and go, oh, 3, that is XYZ, everyone. Let's do number 3, right? Or, that person just rolled a 3, they're telling everyone else what to do, right? So there's so many variations of the potluck game, but it's such a cool thing to add in to your workshops, and it's a fast and simple and powerful way to review content and get people standing up, moving around, and doing things, right? So just wanted to share the game with you. Really, really powerful. And the version I ran the other day worked really, really well. And I'm not a huge one for having fun or playing too many games, but any kind of game that actually incites and triggers new learning opportunities is something I'm a huge fan of, right? Now, the reason I'm just going to step out for a second and let you know why I'm not a huge fan of games, so to speak, is that sometimes people can play games for no reason or play games that may actually make people feel uncomfortable. And I'm not a huge fan of that, particularly for anyone that's an introvert in the room. They're just not going to like it. And anyone that's not hugely competitive, they're not going to like it, right? So this potluck game or this potluck idea is not necessarily a win-lose kind of thing. And there's no kind of awkwardness around it because stuff that you've ideally practiced and done a number of times that everyone would generally be comfortable with, right? So when you design your options, make sure they're things that people feel comfortable with. On that note, folks, thanks for watching the video, and thanks everyone for supporting the channel. As you do, like, comment, share. Let's get this message out there. Thanks for watching, team, and we'll see you on the next one.